Because the name that he used before he went to prison in TEWA is different.
Damage a clamp worth 10,000 shillings. In the second count, he was charged for stealing the clamp.
Contract Section 47A, Subsection 3, Section 48 of the Anti-Corruption of 2003. And the particulars of the offence is on diverse dates between 1st July 2018 and 1st January 2019 in Nairobi City County within the Republic of Kenya.
A case estimately traced 20 years ago, the year being 1998, the case had been long buried and long forgotten, was later revived by mbuvi SONKO himself back in December 4th, 2020, where mbuvi SONKO moved to the High Court in Mombasa seeking to stop his arrest over his alleged escape from SHIMO maximum prison. Many questions are rising about what this SHIMO case is all about. Back in 1998, mbuvi SONKO had two cases, the first case being forgery of documents, while the second case, he was charged of personation, or rather, pretending to be somebody who is not. Under the forgery of documents, mbuvi SONKO was found guilty and given a fine of 200,000 or a jail term of 6 months. In the second case of personation, he was found guilty and given a fine of 500,000 Kenyan shillings or a jail term of 6 months. These two cases were to run consecutively, where mbuvi SONKO had to spend a total of 12 months behind bars or pay an accumulative sum of 700,000 Kenyan shillings way back in 1998. After only serving 1 month, it's alleged mbuvi SONKO feigned sickness and he was admitted at Coast General Hospital, from where he fled. On his side, mbuvi SONKO says that the SHIMO prison authorities released him when his mother had died. This is my prison life. Remember to subscribe, like and share for more stories. My name is Mambia Nyansiri. mbuvi SONKO's father was a real estate agent at the coast. SONKO learned some business skills, ideas when he was the marketing manager in his father's office and he was still a student. When he was in his father's office, one day he came across an investor from Germany. His name was Hans Rudolph. Hans Rudolph wanted to construct a tourism hotel in Diani beach in Mombasa. By then, his father had traveled. He was not in the office. SONKO decided to conduct that particular deal. mbuvi SONKO went to Diani Beach in Kinondo, where he managed to meet one family known as the Masabuni family that was disposing a land at the beach area that was 5 acres.
I was a real estate agent at the coast. I learned some business skills, ideas, when I was the sales and marketing manager in his office and when I was still a student. Nilishika my first millions when I was in school. So what happened for me to be incarcerated in prison? This is the story. When I was in my father's office, one day I came across an investor from Germany. I remember his name still very vividly. He was called Hans Rudolph. Hans Rudolph wanted to construct a tourist hotel in Diani Beach, Mombasa. So by then my father had traveled. He was not in the office. So I decided to deal or to conduct this particular deal or transaction. I went to Diani Beach, Kinondo. Those who come from Diani, they know this name, this area. I managed to meet one family They were disposing their piece of land on the beach, 5 acres. They were selling the land at 4 million Kenyan shillings that time. So I decided to pose myself as...
The family was selling the land at 4 million Kenyan shillings, whereas Mike Mbuvi Sonko decided to pose himself as the purchaser, where he did the agreement with the family. By then, the land regulations were that if you want to buy any property or land, for you to confirm the sale, you need to give 10% to the vendor of that particular property. Mike Mbuvi Sonko bought some foodstuffs and gave them to the family, among other items, with an addition of 400,000 Kenyan shillings. Later, the documents and agreements were signed and proceeded to the lawyer under Magolo Advocate Companies, where they surrendered the documents. Later, Mike Mbuvi Sonko went to the German businessman and decided to sell back the land to him at 8 million shillings Kenyan money with the aim of making benefit. After the agreement with the German businessman went back to Germany, where he did all the transactions to the lawyer, and Sonko later paid the Masabuni family the remaining amount of 4 million shillings. After 1 month, hence Rudolph came back from Germany, where he was handed the documents from Mike Mbuvi Sonko as the new purchaser at an amount of 8 million Kenyan shillings. After some months, Hans Rudolph started the construction that at a certain point they had a pause after the Masabuni family realized the land was under a white man and not Mike Mbuvi Sonko. Therefore, the white man presented the documents that had bought the new land from Mike Mbuvi Sonko at a price of 8 million shillings Kenyan money. The Masabuni family proceeded to CID offices in Mombasa, and Mike Sonko, within a few days, he was arrested and arraigned in court and charged.
Family, a letter of offer. So by then the land regulations were, if you want to buy any property, for you to confirm that sale, you have to part with 10% to give to the seller or the vendor of that particular plot or property. So I raised kulikuwa na njaa sana cost zamani, some bales of flour, wheat, some cash kidogo. So I paid 400,000, including the food stuff. I gave to this family, Masabuni. They were called the Masabuni family. We signed the documents, agreements. So we went to a lawyer. He's still practicing today. It's called Magolo and Company Advocates. We did an agreement with this family. They surrendered all the documents. So I went with the German, saw this land. He was interested, but I decided, because it's business, to sell the land at 8 million instead of 4, because I was just after making a living or profit. The German agreed. Also, he committed a deposit, but then there were no WhatsApp, no videos, no nothing. So he went back to his country, transferred the rest of the money to the lawyer. It was electronic transfer, not, currently we have, they call RTGS, but before you used to have electronic funds transfer, which used to take like 7 days, money to be transmitted from overseas to Kenya. So the purchase price was paid. We called him the Masabuni. We paid his balance. He handed over the property to me. Then after a month, Mr. Rudolph came, Hans. We also handed over the property to him as a new purchaser. Then Rudolph, when he was just about to start the construction of the hotel, the Masabuni family came to the land now and asked, Mr. Rudolph, what are you doing in this land? The Rudolph said, no, this land was sold to us by Mbuvi Sonko. No, but we sold this land, can we see the papers? Then Masabuni family saw the papers that the transfer of the land was sold at 8 million instead of 4. So he decided to go to diani CID to report. When he reported the case, I don't know how they handled that matter, because I was arrested. That time the CIDs were using the flying squad, they were using 544 periods. They came for me. I was incarcerated. I was put in, arraigned in court.
As the case proceeded, when Mike Sonko was still in custody, his mother passed away. At that time, Mike Mbuvi Sonko had a lot of money, where he decided to buy a way out of the remand so as to attend his mother's funeral, where he succeeded and escaped from prison by bribing the prison officers to his mother's funeral. After the funeral, Mike Mbuvi Sonko flew to Tanzania for some months and decided to find a way back home. He traced the way to Uganda and landed to Busia, where later proceeded to a small village known as Unguja in Siaya. Later, Mike Mbuvi Sonko decided again to proceed to Nairobi, where he used to have some houses at Buruburu and Teriko. Though in exile, he started doing some business with his friends from Mombasa. The same friends set up Mike Mbuvi Sonko, and he was arrested with the police officers, flying squad and prison officers, and taken back to Kamiti Maximum Prison, waiting to be transferred back to Mombasa. Mike Mbuvi Sonko requested for a cash bill that he was denied. For the case of escaping from prison, Mike Mbuvi Sonko was sentenced to 4 months. Mike Mbuvi Sonko later decided to appeal. At the bench, he had 3 judges: Vivi Patel, the late Justice Mutei, and the late Ombuk. Mike Mbuvi Sonko had no lawyer. Mike Mbuvi Sonko at Kamiti Maximum Prison had a plan to escape again, but the plan was changed by one fellow prisoner who was known as Monjo. Monjo did a robbery that he was sentenced to death. Monjo had a plan to appeal that was awaited by Mike Mbuvi Sonko. If it went successful, then Mike Mbuvi Sonko was to follow.
For 4 periods, they came for me. I was incarcerated. I was put in, arraigned in court. Besides being charged by this offense, it was an offense of obtaining money by false pretenses, contrary to Section 313 of the Criminal Procedure Code. So I was put in. After some time, my father was very mad with me by then. After some time, my mother came and bailed me out. As we were proceeding with the case, I lost my mother. And the laws, by then, if somebody stands surety for you, then he passes on, you have to look for another surety. So immediately my mother was, before she was buried, I was put in, taken to the remand. So by then I used to have a lot of money. So I decided to buy my way out of the prison so that I go attend my mother's funeral. And I succeeded. I escaped from prison to go and attend my mother's burial. I bribed the prison officers and escaped. After my mother's funeral, I decided to go to Tanzania. Tanzania, nikazunguka na Uganda, nikakuja again through Busia. Nikasettle kwa kijiji moja hapo Unguja, Siaya, inaitwa Sigombre. Kakakaa hapo chini ya maji. Then because I had a lot of money, I decided to come to Nairobi. We used to have another house in Teriko and Buruburu. Nikijificha, exile. Then I started inviting my friends from Mombasa. They came, I started buying flowers. There are these same friends I invited from Mombasa, wakaniseti. This guy escaped from prison, now he's doing well in business. I bought flowers in Dono, Buruburu. So, waliniseti. I was arrested by the flying squad, police, prison officers. I was again told that I'm a dangerous criminal. I escaped from prison. So nikawekwa Kamiti maximum prison, waiting to be transferred to Mombasa. So I decided, I was denied bail because now I was facing 2 counts. The case I had when I was arrested, then another extra case of escaping from a lawful custody. Nikasema tuweke Mungu mbele, let us do the cases. For the case of escaping from a lawful custody, I was sentenced or imprisoned. You know, many Kenyans don't like, they shy away, or they are shy, they don't want to talk about their past. But tell the people the reality. Let them accept the way you are. Let them learn from your heart. So we did these cases. I was sentenced to 4 months imprisonment. I decided to appeal. There was a 3-bench judge. I remember my appeal was heard by Justice Vivi Patel, the late, Justice Mitei, the late. No, Mitei is still alive, I think he's a lawyer somewhere. And the late Justice Oguk, Samuel Odhiambo Oguk. I did not have any lawyer. The best lawyers are in prison. We used to do our cases when we were in prison. And even in committee, I wanted to escape. But after explaining my case to my fellow inmates who were there, they told me so.
After serving for a year, was acquitted at the court. Mike Mbuvi Sonko's case proceeded that was attended by 2 witnesses, the first one being Mzee Masabuni, and the second witness was Hans Rudolph. After Mzee Masabuni, the lack of sufficient evidence, Mike Mbuvi Sonko's case was acquitted.
Masabuni was the first witness. I didn't have any lawyer. Mzee Masabuni, yes. Do you know me? Yes, I know you. My name is yes. What is your case? My case is you bought my land at 4 million, you went and sold at 8 million. Okay. But you sold the land to me, yes. I produced the agreement I had with him. I gave the clerk, gave the agreement to the judges. My lord, this is the agreement between me and Mzee Masabuni. He agreed to sell his land at 4 million. He signed. No, I remember he put a thumb. Those years, they used to sign using a thumb, ink, then put on the transfers. So Masabuni has agreed he sold the land at me at 4 million. So you sold the land at 4 million, yes. Did I pay your money? He confessed before the judges, yes. I paid the money. Then I told the judge, I don't have any further question to this witness. He went. Then the second witness was Mr. Rudolph Edgar, the purchaser who bought the land at 8 million. Mr. Rudolph was still my friend because I did not swindle him, I did not con him, he's enjoying the rights of his land. But this case stopped everything, the construction and everything. So I told Mr. Rudolph, do you know me? Yes. Did I show you this land? Yes. Did you like it? Yes, I liked it. Did you pay the money? Yes. I first paid 800,000 deposits, went to Germany, and wired the money to the lawyer. Was the land transferred to you? Yes. Are you in possession? Yes. Are you to start the construction? Yes. So am I here? Ask the judges and the police why you are here. I don't have any case with you. So God is great. I was acquitted in this case. I think under section 210 for lack of sufficient evidence.
After prison, Mike Mbuvi Sonko started small business to date. This is My Prison Life. Remember to subscribe, like and share for more stories. My name is Mambia Nyansiri.